Hey guys. Okay, I'm trying to get on Instagram simultaneously. Give me 1 second. All right, I am now live on Instagram and I'm also live on Facebook. Thank you guys for tuning in with me today. Today I'm going to be discussing some ways that you can successfully co-parent throughout the holiday season. Given that Thanksgiving is less than a week away and then Christmas coming shortly behind it, I thought this would be a great topic of discussion. This conversation can be beneficial for all parents, even if there is no formal custody arrangement. I am Joy Farrell. I'm the managing attorney here at the Farrell firm, and we are located in Tucker, right off 285 off Lawrenceville Highway in Atlanta. You can find us online at thefarrellfirm.com. Here at the Farrell firm, we focus on family law litigation, which covers all things related to family law. That's divorce, child support, custody, adoptions. We also do wills, probating of estates, power of attorneys, etc. In addition to our family law practice, we also practice in the area of personal injury. So if you've been injured in a car accident and you were not at fault in that accident, you should feel free to give us a call if you need representation in that area. If you want to know more about the Farrell Firm team, please head over to our website at farrellfirm.com and check us out. And you can also stay connected with us on Facebook, on our page right here, Instagram. Our Instagram page is Farrell Firm. And you can also stay connected with us via YouTube. And the YouTube page is actually under my name, which is Joy Farrell. Okay, so I'm looking back and forth because I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. Instagram people, you may enjoy Facebook a little bit better because I actually have the titles coming on the screen so you can kind of keep track of what I'm going to be talking about. After this broadcast, this will be available on Facebook and Instagram. You can find this on YouTube for review later. By tuning in today, you acknowledge that the information I give is for informational purposes only and is based on the laws of the state of Georgia. Every case is different and you should seek legal advice if you feel that you need specific legal advice, and we can do that for you here if you want to schedule an appointment. I'll give you that information at the end of the broadcast. By participating in this broadcast, you understand that we are not creating an attorney-client relationship, and I'm not creating any conflicts of interest should the opposing party, the person you may be against, decides to come and hire our firm. At the end of each broadcast, I do take the time to answer all of your family law questions, so do not hesitate to go ahead and post a question. Anything that's related to divorce, custody, or support, I will answer those questions, even if it's not related to the topic today. So let's go ahead and get started. And again, I'm going to be talking about co-parenting successfully through this holiday season. So for some people, it's hard to co-parent regardless of what day it is. The holiday season is fast approaching, and with that becomes the familiar stresses that are that affect divorced and separated families. The holidays bring the thought of coming together as a family. It's often thought that a successful holiday season means one big happy family enjoying festivities together. I mean, literally everything we look at continuously reminds us that the holidays are a time for a celebration of family. So when a divorce or a separation between the parents happen, the holidays may be really tough for children as well as the parent to be able to cope with. As a parent, your challenge is to start new traditions, to give the children something to look forward to when the holidays come. You should focus on changing the season from a time to dwell on the past to a season for excitement to looking forward to something new. Although it can be difficult, the holidays can be just as pleasantly memorable as they were in the past. It's all about learning to transition and learning to adjust. So as the holiday season rolls around the corner this year, it's critical for us to remind ourselves that no family is perfect. Together, you and your children can deal with the changes and recreate the magic of the holidays in a new way. As long as there is love and a lot of it, any holiday will be just as celebratory as it should be. If you are a family that has always been separated, in the case of two parents who have never lived together, then you too can have successful holidays. If you are a father and you have never gotten to spend a holiday with your child, or you find it difficult to be able to spend holidays with your child, you should make sure that you have petitioned the court to make sure that you have rights to be able to spend holidays with your child. If you are a mother, then I encourage you to consider giving your child's father the opportunity to step in and step up. In reality, kids will forget the presents that they get during the holidays, with their memory of who was actually present for them and who made those memories with them will be ingrained in their hearts forever. Both parents should have the opportunity to have this impact on their child. I say this in every video. I am not a father's rights attorney. I'm not a mother's rights attorney. I believe that both parents should be in the lives of their children, and I encourage both parents to always ensure that that is happening. So again, I'm going to get into some of the tips. If you have any questions throughout, just go ahead and type them below and I will get to them when I get to the end. So here are some tips for a successful holiday while co-parenting. The first thing I'm going to recommend for you to do is to review your parenting plan. If you have a custody agreement in place, it is time to pull out that parenting plan and to pull out your calendar. If you don't know what a parenting plan, let me tell you what it is. A parenting plan is what is entered in every single custody case, and it tells parents which days they are supposed to have their child, and this also includes the holidays. If you have a parenting plan, flip to the section that says holidays. It is usually after the standard visitation. If it's weekdays or weekends, it comes a couple of pages later. And what's going to happen in the holiday section, most likely if one parent's going to have Thanksgiving this year, the other parent is going to have Christmas, because those are our two major holidays. So we definitely alternate those each year. So what you need to be looking at, if you're looking at your parenting plan, is you need to be looking at when exactly your holiday time starts. For example, the Thanksgiving holiday may say that the holiday starts the day that school is released for the holiday break, which in my case would be today for my kids, because today is the last day my kids have school before Thanksgiving, and that break would go through the day before school starts back, so all the way through next Sunday. For some people, the plan may say it starts the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and ends a day or two after. Whatever it says, you want to go ahead and look at it, mark it on your calendar, and plan accordingly, because every plan is different. The next thing you need to do, once you've determined what is supposed to be your parenting time for this upcoming holiday, you need to communicate with the other parent about what your intentions are. So it's always a good idea to openly communicate in every relationship, and especially a parenting relationship. Regardless of what the parenting plan says, like if it says you're supposed to have the kids, don't assume that the other parent remembers that, or that they've taken a look at it. It's always going to be a good idea to shoot the other parent a text message or email saying, hey, just a reminder, I have the kids for Thanksgiving or for Christmas, and I'm going to be picking them up on Friday or whatever day it may be. If you plan on traveling with the children, make sure you tell the other parent what those plans are. I know some people don't like doing this, but in reality, every parent should know where their kids are. So be proactive, send a message that includes the flight information, hotel arrangements, or if you're just going to be local, share that information too. If you're making plans, or if you aren't going to have the kids, you should remember to be flexible with the other parent that's going to have the kids. It's important to be flexible, because the parenting plan is to be used when the parties cannot agree on something on their own. A common misconception about parenting plans is that people think they have to follow it to the T all the time. But really, a parenting plan is there for whenever the parents are going to have a disagreement. So if the parents want to agree to something outside of the parenting plan and they have an agreement, it is perfectly okay to defer from the parenting plan, as long as there is an agreement. If there is no agreement, then you stick to the parenting plan. So we want to be flexible, because if the other parent says something like, hey, can I pick the kids up a day early because flights are like $100 cheaper if I leave a day early, or if I have a long drive, or Aunt Sue is only going to be in town the day before Thanksgiving and I really want the kids to see her, they haven't seen her in forever. You as the other parent should be flexible and just go with the flow and allow that to happen, so that the kids and the other parent can have a memorable holiday. I mean, put simply, sometimes life happens and those parenting plans aren't equipped to take that into consideration. So it's up to you to make the plan work. So you should be flexible and be willing to compromise. The next tip for you is, please do not involve your children. This is especially true if you are in the middle of a divorce action or a custody action and a parenting plan has not been entered. You should not ask the children who they want to spend the holiday with. Putting kids in a awkward spot is not what is best for them, and is not fair for them to have to choose between the two most important people in their life. It's difficult for them to have to make choices like this between their mother and their father, and they may not give you an answer that you want to hear that could end up hurting your feelings. So if you are in the middle of a case and custody has not been determined, you and the other parent need to just have a conversation and say, hey, how do you want to do the holidays this year? I know the court hasn't given us an order. What about I take Thanksgiving and you take Christmas, or you take Thanksgiving and I take Christmas, or, you know, we split them on the day. You go to your mom's house Thanksgiving morning and I'm going to pick them up at 2:00 and then we're going to go to my family's house. Whatever it is, if you don't have a set thing in place yet, you need to start communicating with the other parent so there's no arguments on the holiday, which will ultimately ruin the holiday for the kids. So have the conversation with the parents, not the kids. Kids don't need to be having these conversations. I don't care if they are 15 or 16. It's not a conversation for a child to have. My other tip for you is going to be start new traditions. If you are recently divorced, or if you are new to having the opportunity to spend time with your kids, so let's say you're a father and this is going to be your first holiday season having rights to your kids, you should create new traditions. And remember that Christmas can be celebrated on December 26th or 27th or December 23rd or any other day if that's what you have to do. I absolutely love traditions, and my family traditions are deeply ingrained in my mind and my heart. I have 2 small children myself. So the day after Thanksgiving, our elf on the shelf always arrives for the season. We decorate gingerbread houses each year. We create a Christmas countdown to the big day. We do various things in the city. We do family photos. By the way, I do mine at JCPenney via Groupon for $20. So, I mean, that's a fun tradition that you can do. My personal favorite childhood tradition is getting to open one present every night, every Christmas Eve, not every night, the night before Christmas. I did that growing up, and it took me about 10 years to realize that the gift was the same thing every year, which was pajamas. So I do that for my kids. They get to open a present the night before Christmas, and it's pajamas. So they have new Christmas pajamas. So when we're taking those pictures on Christmas morning, they're in their cute new pajamas. Talk to your kids about the traditions, get them excited, and get them to take part in the fun of the tradition that you're going to do with your family. And I also say this, if you have the kids and you're going to be creating traditions with them, take pictures of the kids, send pictures to the other parent because they're not there and it's already hard for them to not be able to be with the kids on the day. Take pictures so they can, feel like they know what's going on. They can know the kids are happy. Some parents honestly believe that the kids are miserable when they're with the other parent. So it would be a great thing to do to send a picture and say, hey, they're not miserable. We're actually having a really great time. We got to see Santa. We went here, and let the other parent know that the kid is doing fine, and that could actually put them at ease. My next tip is for you to take time for yourself. If you're the parent that's going to be without the kids on the holiday, try not to wallow in sadness about not having your kids. You should take the time for yourself and enjoy it. Plan something just for you. Go out with your friends. Go visit your family. Just enjoy the day because this is going to be a new life for you. You're not going to be able to have your kids every holiday if you're living in 2 separate households from the other parent. And so you need to establish your own routines and things that make you happy. So that your life isn't revolving around your kids, and your happiness shouldn't revolve around your kids either. You need to make sure you have something for yourself. Tip number 7, and this is going to be my last tip, so make sure you start typing your questions because I'm going into questions as soon as I go through this. Tip number 7 is to make sure you ask to see your children. I always say we have not because we ask not. If you are a parent who does not have If you are a parent who does not have a parenting plan in place just yet, be sure to ask the other parent anyway if you can spend time with the kids. If they say no, don't give up there. Be flexible and ask if there's any other days that may be optional for you to celebrate the holiday with the kids. If the other parent is absolutely not open to you seeing your children, you may need to pursue legal action to make sure you obtain a parenting plan so that you don't have to ask for permission to see your kids. That's the beauty in having a court-ordered custody visitation, is that you don't have to ask for permission to see your kids. You are already granted that in the custody order, so then there doesn't need to be a discussion. You just need to be acting on it. Okay, so now I'm going to go into questions. So if you have them, go ahead and type them. I think I did get a few. So I'm going to scroll down. Tracy says, speaking of travel, can a person get a passport if behind on child support and the child is over 18 and in college? Can the person get a passport? Okay, yeah. Child Support Services does have the authority to suspend your passport if you are behind on your child support payments. And a lot of people go through that. Just like they suspend your license, they suspend the passport. So possibly they can get it if there's no suspension on it. But if there is a suspension on it due to unpaid child support, then no, they cannot get the passport. Because the theory is they'll flee the jurisdiction and then not have to answer to the passport. Hannah says, what if holiday visitation and birthday visitation occur at the same time? That's a really good question. So in the parenting plan, there's usually a provision for the child's birthday and the holiday schedule, except holidays typically trump regular visitation schedules. So I would say that the holiday schedule would take precedent. But what you really need to do, if you are a parent and you have a child whose birthday falls on a holiday, you need to make sure that's addressed at the time you enter into the parenting plan. Because what I would do is to say, like, okay, so if the child's birthday is, say, Christmas Eve, then the parents split Christmas Eve, or you're going to just have to split the year if there's a lot of traveling involved. But you need to make sure that's accounted for. A lot of mistakes that other attorneys make with parenting plans is that they do cookie cutter parenting plans, and they don't think about your particular situation and what's actually going to work for you and your family. So if that is your case, you need to make sure that when you go in to litigate your case, or if you're going into mediation to try to settle your case, that you take into consideration stuff like that may be a conflict later on so that it can be addressed. Lori, what if you want to take your child out of the country for the holidays? Is there a way to get around having to have the non-custodial parent sign the passport application? Hey, Lori, yep, that's actually a good question. And so there's two ways to get a passport, and passport is covered by federal law. So the first way to get a passport is by consent of both parents. If you can't get consent from the other parent, the other way is to get a court-ordered passport. And so the way we do that is we file a petition with the court, and it's called a petition for a court-ordered passport for a minor. And so if you're getting kickback from the other parent refusing to sign the passport, then we can most certainly file that petition for you and get the court to sign off on your passport application. Rosalind says, what options do I have if the other parent is not consistent with court-ordered parent payments? Rosalind, the option is to file a consent, or, which may be a better option, depending on what your child support addendum says. Some addendums say if you miss a payment or you become more than 30 days behind, you can automatically qualify for the income deduction order, which would take it directly out of their paycheck. And so that's pretty much what you're looking for, is consistency, getting your money at the same time every single month. So the best thing to do is to get an income deduction order to take it directly out of the paycheck. And I see your next question, Rosalind, is can it be payroll deducted for payments? Yes, it can. If he works at a job where they pay him a paycheck, like not under the table, then it can be deducted. Hannah says, what if our order states that the father gets the child for Christmas on odd years, but he has never exercised his visitation and decided last minute the night before Christmas that he wants a child, even though it is his year and plans have already been made? Will I get in trouble for telling him no? This is tricky, Hannah. Technically, yes, it's his parenting time, so he's entitled to it. But I would assume that if it was like the day before Christmas, his visitation time would have actually started a couple days before that, and I would deem that waived if I was a parent. Like if you didn't pick the kids up on December 21st, and that's when your visitation started, then I would consider that a waived visitation. This actually happens a whole lot. Parents don't exercise visitation the entire year. The holidays come up and they show up at the door and they want to take the kids. And it's like, what do I do? The order says it's their time, but they haven't seen the kids in a year. It's tough. I can't, in good conscience, tell you to disregard a court order. But as a mother, I don't think I will let my kids go, but that's me talking as a mother, not as a lawyer. So as a lawyer, you need to follow a court order. But if you have a parent who's not exercising visitation, then you might need to go out and take your order back to modify it so that doesn't even become an issue in the future. Hey, Ernest, I see you follow us a lot. I appreciate your support of our firm. He says, what about parents that don't follow the court orders to allow the non-custodial parent their rights to visit without hassle? Ernest, that's going to be up to the non-custodial parent to make sure they enforce it. People don't know this, but judges can incarcerate custodial parents for denying visitation. And so I always recommend, just continuously filing contempt until they know or the court forces them to stop giving you a hassle about it. And honestly, if we have to file too many contempts and you make it very obvious that you have a problem with co-parenting, then we may be looking at doing a change of custody in that situation. Dakivia says, I have a child support court date coming up. What should I expect? And do I need a lawyer? I was told I don't need to be at court that day, just the non-custodial. Okay, Dakivia, that sounds like that's a DHS hearing. I always think you need a lawyer. And I mean, you do, honestly. The non-custodial parent, they're going to be issuing the child support, but what if you don't agree with it? I mean, what if you have an objection to it? You're just not going to say anything. I would see what they're saying. Because sometimes you get there and they say, oh, I can't afford that. Then the judge ends up lowering their support order and you never even got to voice your opinion on that. So I definitely think you should make sure you show up. And if you have any objection to it, you should make sure you state your objection. And the thing with child support services, they usually give you a recommendation before the court date. So you should go ahead and email them or call them and find out what the recommendation is for the child support. So you can find out before you even go if that's something that you have a problem with. Okay, I have a question from Instagram from Diamond Set. And she says, currently separated, divorce in process, father's in California while we're in Georgia. Our child is 15 months old. What age would be considered reasonable for the child to travel outside of the state? Diamond, that's a good question. And we get that a lot, especially with small children. I have an 18-month-old, so we're in a similar boat. 15 months old, depending on which judge you get one of these more traditional judges, they may say, hey, that's not quite old enough. But in maybe a more forward-thinking judge may think, hey, 15 months old is old enough to get on the plane. In fact, they can fly for free. So why not make sure they're going over there to visit the dad? But if dad is the one that moved to California, I would say the dad is the one that needs to be paying the travel expenses to get the child there. Or you can propose that dad needs to come to Georgia to visit with the child. But it's going to really depend on the circumstances as to why he left, how long he's been gone, etc. But the child can travel outside the state. There is no age limit according to case law that the child can't travel outside the state. The question is going to be who's going to travel with the child, because obviously we know a 15-month-old can't travel by themselves. Okay, got some questions back over to Facebook. Jamin Saar. I feel like you emailed me. What is the purpose of filing a summons form in a legitimation case? You have to file the summons because that's the form that you need to give the person to tell them where to respond to the pleadings. It's absolutely required. Very simple. The clerk has a copy. You can just fill it out and send it to the sheriff. But you do have to have it, and without it, you can't get your case going. Fred says, let me make sure I don't have any more Instagram. Okay, I do have an Instagram question real quick. Hold on, Fred. So on Instagram, we have, what if I miss a court date? I don't know how to use Instagram as good. I think that's what it says. I don't know. If you miss a court date, you're in a lot of trouble. You're going to have an order entered against you that you don't know what it says. And you basically didn't show up and assert your rights. Yeah, okay. I totally messed that up on Instagram. Sorry. So yeah, you need to go to court. If you miss court, that's terrible. Okay, so Fred says, good afternoon. So I have my kids throughout the year and my ex-wife gets them for the summer and the holidays, but due to myself and her boyfriend not getting along, she petitioned for child support and a date for court on January 18th. I have proof they live with me, but how should I handle that? Fred, that's a very good question. My response to you would be, do you actually have the official primary custody? It sounds like you do, because you're saying, you know, y'all have this plan in place. And if that is the case, you really should not be petitioning the court for child support unless you make way more than her. There are certain occasions where the custodial parent will still have to pay support to the non-custodial parent, but it is kind of rare and kind of hard to get, sort of, kind of. So Fred, I would encourage you to give us a call and set an appointment to come in so we can take a look at what your wife filed and talk to you in detail about what the specifics are. Rochelle, so my children's dad's girlfriend answers for the sheriff, and she says he doesn't live there, so for 5 years he hasn't been served. What do you suggest? I suggest getting a private process server and not going through child support services. I would suggest that you file a private establishment of child support action through a firm like myself or another firm. Samantha, how can I get my husband to get partial custody of his daughter if she lives in Mississippi? If the child's in Mississippi, Georgia doesn't have jurisdiction. He'll have to take that up in Mississippi. Fred says none was awarded due to filing divorce in Alaska. Okay, that's weird. So Fred, you need to be filing a petition for custody here in Georgia so that there can be an order in place, and your ex may have already done that. So you definitely need to come in ASAP. Samantha says, also, if he didn't sign the birth certificate, can the child have his last name? Mother says she does, but he wasn't there when baby was born. Yes, the child can have whatever last name the mom wants the child to have, regardless if the birth certificate was signed or not. Regina says, if a non-custodial parent is receiving Social Security, what recourse do I have to get child support that has been in arrears for 1 year? Social Security income you can get child support from it. So we need to find out how much he's getting it and why he's not paying it. So you want to do a contempt and probably do some discovery to get into that. I have another question coming from Instagram, and the question is, my divorce process is in California. Can a Georgia lawyer represent me, or will I have to seek a California lawyer? So if you have a legal action, even if you live in Georgia, if your legal action is pending in another state, you're going to need a lawyer in that state. So you need to seek out a family law lawyer in the state of California. I don't want to say your name wrong. Mr. Patrick says, I get my kids for Thanksgiving, but because of the financial bind that I'm in, I can't really afford to give them Thanksgiving dinner that they deserve. My son got braces last week, but my ex does not agree that she has to make payments. I pay her for 2 kids, even though one is emancipated. Anthony, send me a message. I'll send you a Thanksgiving meal for your kids. Okay. Rochelle says, thank you. I've actually called and spoken to you all, and given the situation, everything on the table is hard to locate him. I'll try again. Okay. Have you, I don't think you're one of our clients, but we do have private process servers that we use, and we can try to get him should you become a client of ours. But we will, if you know he's at that address, then we will be able to get one of our private process servers to track him down. But in order for us to do that, you would have to become a client of the firm. Okay. I think that is all the questions. Let me check Instagram. Okay, it looks like I have answered questions on both ends. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in today. And again, if you are experiencing a family law situation and you want legal advice, we do offer consultations. Those consultations are $150, and it gets you an hour with one of the attorneys in our office. If you would like to get scheduled to come in, you can give us a call, 678-973-2803, or you can book us online at farrellfirm.com. I want to give you a preview of what we're going to be talking about on our next live. We will not be going live next Friday because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but we will be going live on December 1st. And on December 1st, we'll be talking about tips on winning joint custody, or basically presenting a more successful case to get joint custody. I see some more questions popping up, so let me just answer those real quick and I'll circle back around. Alexa says, my child's father has nothing to do with my daughter since she was born. He keeps threatening me with court. He also has felonies. Can that help me? Alexis, is that your daughter in the picture? The baby, if your baby's young, we have to figure out, so how long has he not been involved? Is it 4 months or is it 10 years? That's going to be the factor there. He can take you to court, but you can fight it. And if he does, definitely just call us and we'll have to take a look at what kind of felonies he has. Just because he has felonies doesn't make him an unfit father. And so we'll have to evaluate that and see if he should have time with your daughter. Okay, that is your daughter in the picture. Okay, how precious. I see she was a preemie, so I'm sure preemies do require a little bit more work and a little bit more care, and parents need to be very aware of the needs of the child. So if he's not willing to do those kind of things, then, you may have an argument, but she's pretty young, so he's probably going to be able to legitimate absent some crazy finding that he's an unfit parent. M. Joy Hayes, maybe spell our name the same way. What's the best way to handle the holidays for a newborn 4 months? Joy or M. Joy, it depends on if you're breastfeeding. If you are, I would definitely go ahead and start trying to pump some milk so the baby can have food while it is away from you. And if dad wants to, if dad has rights, then sure, let him get some time, let him go visit the other side of the family. You take a break, get some sleep, have a good time. If the dad does not have rights, then that's going to be up to you if you want to let the child go with the father. But it doesn't have to be a long time, maybe just a couple of hours. So you could say, hey, you can get him or her from 12 to 6, and I'm going to come pick her back up, and just do it that way. But just because she's 4 months doesn't prevent her from having to have visitation with her father. Oh, Alexa says she's 1. Okay. Wendell says, mine and my ex have split Christmas Day in our custody order. However, last year we agreed not to shuffle our child back and forth on the holiday. Last year she had our child all day, and this is my year to have him all day. If she decides not to honor our agreement of last year, do I have to split the day even though I have it in writing? She agreed to switch. If there's a disagreement, the parenting plan falls into place. So if she wants to revert on that, then she can most certainly go back to splitting the day, because that's what the order says. If you're going to have a problem with that, then you want to modify that visitation in the court action so that it's official on paper for next year. Mykel says, so how do a father get rights? Mykel, what a father has to do is file a legitimation petition in the county where the mother and the child lives. And if you check out our Facebook page, Mykel, there's a video that I did 2 weeks ago called Custody, What Unmarried Fathers Need to Know About Custody, and that's going to tell you everything that you need to know about filing a legitimation. But what I can tell you to walk away with today, that you have 0 rights if you had your child out of wedlock, and so you don't have any rights to see the child on any holiday or any day. You just need to pursue the legitimation with the courts, and when you do that, you can get legal rights to the child and also get a custody visitation plan established through the courts. Okay, so again, like I said, we'll be back. We won't be live next week, but we'll be back live on December 1st. And on December 1st, I'll be talking about some tips on how to win joint custody if you are a parent who is pursuing joint custody. And by joint custody, I'm talking about the actual physical custody, a 50-50 custody arrangement. And if you want to schedule a appointment with our office, again, that number is 678-973-2803, or you can reach us online at farrellfirm.com. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and have a blessed Thanksgiving holiday. I really appreciate you for tuning in, and I will see you guys back here on December 1st.